So you are a transaction coordinator trying to expand your business and you're thinking about offering your TC services to real estate investors. But are you truly ready to do that? Hello and welcome back. My name is Cecilia Peralta. I am a virtual assistant, and in this channel I share tips, tutorials, and industry insights to help virtual assistants become successful business owners. So you are a transaction coordinator already, assisting realtors in closing their deals, offering services for the retail side of the business. And now you are thinking about expanding your business and trying to offer your services to investors doing real estate transactions. But before you take that step, I want to make sure that you are truly ready, because the reality is that even though the idea behind the transaction coordinator for realtors or for investors is kind of the same, you are going to be handling the transaction, you're going to be the main point of contact, and you're going to basically coordinate everything. However, there are a lot of nuances and a lot of differences between assisting in a retail, regular real estate transaction or in a one that is more creative and uses different strategies to close the deal. In my opinion, as a TC, you need to be an expert. And if you don't understand the exit strategies, the type of deals that the investors are trying to put together and close, then honestly, you're going to have a very hard time trying to help the investor to close the transaction. It's going to be frustrating for you, for the investor, and not just that, but you might not be able to actually help them. And you could potentially even get in the way to close that particular transaction. As a matter of fact, it is something really well known in the real estate investing circle that there are a lot of real estate professionals that have no clue what the real estate investors are trying to do. And I'm talking about realtors and title companies. And the reason is because they have a niche. They focus and they are professional. They know the in and out on the retail side, traditional real estate. But when it comes to investors, some realtors and some title companies don't even understand what they're trying to do. So as you can see, if you would like to provide value, if you would like to help investors, you need to be the expert. Also, if you work with investors, you will have to be more familiar with liens, code violations, evictions, probate, and all these type of things that sometimes are not that common in the retail world. And the reason being is because normally investors pick up deals, pick up houses that are not in prime condition. So think about it. If the seller has a pretty house and is full of upgrades and has a ton of equity, then it will be a perfect candidate to sell it with a realtor through the MLS. But if the seller just inherit the house and is out of state and really don't have the means to maintain that property, it's a burden for them. Due to the lack of maintenance, start getting code violations like the grass is too tall and the fence is falling down and nobody can fix it. So in that case, that might be a perfect situation for a cash offer. That might be great for an investor to pick up the property and take care of everything for the seller. Now let's talk about the different type of creative deals that you might come across. Wholesaling, fix and flip, buy and hold, seller financing, lease options, tax liens and tax deeds, real estate partnerships or JVs, joint ventures, novations, wholesale, subject tos. So if you're not familiar with any of these creative strategies that are commonly used by investors, then I urge you to get familiar with them, to find information, to do your research as soon as possible before you start offering your services to the investors. So let's talk about the jargon. So if you ever talk with a real estate investor and you are not familiar with the business, it might seem like they speak in a different language. They might use terms like exit strategy, ARV or after repair value, hard money lender, hard money loan, vacancy rate, 1031 exchange, joint ventures or JVs, assigner, assignee, private money loans, BER, CAPEX. So same thing that happens with the strategies. If you are not familiar with any of these terms, just go ahead and research them. Get yourself familiar so you can speak the same language. That way, when you're trying to sell your services to a new client, when you are in a discovery call or onboarding them, then you're going to sound professional. You're going to sound like you know what you're doing, and they're going to trust you more. All right, what about paperwork? So the paperwork is going to definitely be different. How different, you might think? Well, you know that when you assist realtors on the retail side of the business, normally they use a standardized type of contract. Now, when it comes to investors, every investor might use a different contract that maybe they have an attorney create for them. And depending on the type of deal they are closing, the type of strategy they are using, they're also going to have different documents for this type of deals. So you will have to get familiarized with all these contracts that might be changing from one investor to the other. Another thing that I would like to mention as part of the paperwork, is the closing statement. I know that not every TC offers to review the closing statement on behalf of the realtor or the investors. I personally do that, so the title companies know that they have to send me the ALTA or HAD or closing statement prior to closing so I can review it and approve it. But the point here is that when you assist a real estate investor, that closing statement is going to be a little bit different from the retail side of the business. It is very normal that a property gets assigned, the contract gets assigned to another buyer, so there has to be an assignment fee included in the closing statement. Also, it is common that if that property has been assigned a couple of times, like in a daisy chain, then you have several assignments. And not just several assignments, but many different escrows coming from different investors that were taking place in that assignment chain. In some cases, you are also going to have JV agreements, joint ventures, where maybe two investors partner up to wholesale that property. And based on the joint venture agreement terms, it might be a different percentage that has to be distributed to them out of the assignment fee. So as you can see, you have to truly understand the transaction, all the documentations, and make sure that you can control everything that is going on. And I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm not trying to say that, being a TC for investors is something that not everyone can do, and, it's so difficult that, it's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's different, and you will have to get used to. And I don't think that it's a good idea for you to just blindly go and offering your services to an investor if you are not familiar with the business. Because at the end of the day, it's not going to help you. It's going to be detrimental to your business. Now, what can you do about that? So you can always learn and train. And when it comes to learning and getting familiar with the side of the business, you have plenty of options. One of them is to find a mentor or a coach. So if you already know someone that is a real estate investor and is willing to share the knowledge, is willing to share with you the in and outs of the business, that's awesome. Maybe you know a TC that is already servicing real estate investor, and he or she might be willing to share with you processes, procedures, and train you on how to be successful with investors. Another one is taking a class or a course. And I might have some news for you in that regards in the near future. So stay tuned. You can also join a meetup in your area. You can immerse yourself in their world and you can network. You never know what opportunities might come out of these meetups, and who knows, you might find a mentor, you might find a potential future client. Another one is to join a RIA, a Real Estate Investment Association. That's personally the option that I took when I learned about investment. Normally their fees are not that high and they are packed with information, meetings, trainings, focus groups, and it's an amazing way to learn and at the same time get a ton of connections. Something super important to understand is that investors also pick a niche. And for the most part, each investor is going to specialize in some type of strategy. For example, some investors only do wholesale. Some others only do fix and flips. So with that being said, don't feel like you have to learn absolutely every single strategy and be a super pro on absolutely every single one. You could potentially be very good at wholesaling. You could understand the business really well in offering services to wholesalers. After all, you are a business owner. You choose what type of services you are going to offer and who is your ideal client. And if you would like to learn more about how to productize your services, watch this video right here. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you find value in this video, and I will see you on the next one.